how do you deal with the salespeople that are consistently ignoring you and going around the legal team to get a deal done? Have you come across that before, and how do you navigate that?
I mean, I think this comes down to business processes as well, right? From my experience. So it's about getting the buy-in of the senior team that legal isn't a nice to have, it's an essential part of a review, but adding a level of practicality into that. So, I mean, what we're looking at the moment is Huel, we're putting in a proper approvals process. So, you know, there'll be a proper scope, written down scope of what people have to run past me or run past the legal team. And that will have, you know, if there's key contractual terms, you know, if we're exclusivity, if it's for a long duration, if it's of a certain value, and then getting buy-in from your C-suite that ultimately you can't circumvent legal, or putting in a process where you've got, you know, there is an approvals matrix which says that this person can sign this agreement and only this person can sign this agreement, and that person knows that they have to have got that tick box from legal of I've checked it. But yeah, I think, Walter, you were going to say something, but I think that the buy-in from the C-suite is essential.
And I think it is absolutely essential, and you've covered about half of what I was going to say. The other thing is it you know, it depends on the business that you're in as to how much of that end run around legal you're going to see. And what I mean by that is I come from a publicly traded business background in the software industry, and I have a number of years. And there's a wonderful thing called US GAAP and revenue recognition. And because the lifeblood of a technology business, a licensing technology business, is the ability to recognize revenue off of software licensed or services provided, the devil is really in the detail in those businesses. And so I used to get sales queuing up outside my office because they didn't know if these words that were in the page that they were holding, that their customer had sent to them, was going to allow the company to recognize revenue. And so, you know, if you're in a situation like that, you get less of an end run around you. If you're in a company that's not publicly listed or doesn't really worry about the revenue recognition rules, it can be a little more difficult. And then the buy-in of the C-suite is really, really important, because if it's key to the company that processes and procedures are followed, you will have a SOX procedure in place that requires legal to sign off, and everything will be documented down the way. But if you're not, then it can be the Wild West sometimes. It can be really quite interesting. I've seen some really, really creative ways to keep legal out of the business, right down to signing contracts and shredding them without telling anybody about it.
Walter, that's wild. I was going to say, I mean, I can speak to being both in a private and public company in the same company. And I have seen quite a huge shift in how sales now seriously take doing the deal that they're doing the right way. But I think, and maybe if the person who submitted the question about being ignored isn't quite there yet, or their sales team don't quite understand the implications to signing things without legal involvement, you know, as much as we want to build a positive relationship with sales, it works both ways. And as much as we want them to view us in a positive light and think of us as a great partner, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't call things out when we see them. And if there's a particular salesperson or a particular group who are ignoring legal advice, are not submitting, are not getting approvals that they need to, it's also your responsibility as the lawyer for the company to flag those issues with the appropriate parties, whether that means their manager or someone else, because you know that they're doing something they shouldn't be doing, and the result is likely something bad, or could be something bad. And so I think there is a bit of a give and take on, yes, we want a positive relationship, we want to work with sales, but we're not here to be your best friend either. We're here to protect the company, to make sure that great deals are signed that make sense. We're not agreeing to things we shouldn't be. And we're signing contracts on products and services we can actually deliver. So I think it is a bit of a balance of good cop, bad cop at the same time.